Thanks for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Scott Kirshner. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. Again, 419-794-3030. Online, Americasretirementheadquarters.com. Scott, I know it is a busy time of the year for you right now with it being the annual election period, which makes this especially shocking to me. The new report says that actually more than half of the people on Medicare, they don't bother to review their plan options each year. They just stick with what they have because it's too much of a hassle to switch. Now, as I said earlier, we are in the annual election period right now, the open enrollment period. It wraps up a little less than a month from now, December 7th. What are the reasons that someone might consider changing plans? And if they do that, how difficult is it actually for you to help them with that?
Well, Chris, you're absolutely right. It is the annual enrollment period. It ends December 7th. So the big question, like you said, is should I change my Medicare plan? And the answer to that is maybe, right? I mean, you know, it's everybody's situation is individualized, and what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. So it's very important that you at least sit down and do a review of your current plan. It truly amazes me at the numbers. The numbers are staggering. There's like 58% of people don't even bother to look at their plan or look for new plans. That number is crazy because every year there are things that are changing in Medicare. Every year. And, you know, if you have a plan, I've talked to people that, I've had this plan for 15 years and they've done nothing with it. I mean, Nolan, how in the world could somebody sit back and not look at their investment portfolio for the last 15, 20 years? Just sit there and do nothing. I mean, that's not being a smart, prudent investor, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a challenge because people don't know what they don't know. You know, they don't know about their financial world. But it's not surprising, I think, when I have people that come in and they say, you know, I haven't made any changes to my 401k in 10 or 15 or 20 years. And, you know, as long as everything's going good,
sure,
that seems to work out. But just like this year in the market, you know, when things don't work out is when you find out maybe that plan wasn't exactly what you wanted to have. In fact, if you dive deeper into these numbers, what it found is only 20% of people who responded have a good understanding of original Medicare, and only 31% have a good understanding of the Medicare Advantage plan.
See, that's a big thing. You know, I had a client in this past week, and actually I did an event last week, even before the client came in Newark, Ohio. Had a great turnout, had 60-some people there, and several people wanted to learn more, which is, that's why I do these events, And I had several people ask me questions. They said, well, why do I need to do anything other than original Medicare? Is there a need for that? Because I'm paying for Medicare Part B, and why do I need anything else? Well, that just plays into that number. 20% have no idea of what original Medicare covers and the pitfalls. The reason why you want to do something else is because there are out-of-pocket expenses, like the Medicare Part B is truly 80-20. And the crazy thing about that is it's 20% of whatever the cost is. There's no cap. The old health insurance plans, many years ago, you had a $2.5 million cap or $5 million, and, Obamacare came out and eliminated that, right? Well, with Medicare, the Part B, which is the medical services, right, it's 20% of whatever the charge is throughout the entire year. So if you've got somebody that's, had maybe open heart surgery, they've got a $300,000 or $400,000 bill, and of that $300,000 or $400,000 bill, $150 of it is medical services, physician fees, things like that. You're on the hook for 20% of that. So should I change my Medicare plan? Absolutely yes, if you don't have something other than just original Medicare. The other thing, that you can attest to, Nolan, is, financial advisors, they actually are kind of a front line for people, helping them out, right? And it found that 33% of Medicare-eligible individuals have a financial advisor, but only 2% use them for Medicare. And you and I have had several conversations about that. Do you want to necessarily buy your financial, set your financial plan in place with a Medicare agent like me? I know I don't, right? And do you want to buy your insurance, your Medicare insurance, from a financial advisor? And we found that the answer to that is, you could. Is it the best option? Probably not, right? I mean,
Well, it's such a broad topic. I mean, you have to understand the healthcare industry just the same as I have to understand, the stock market, the economy. They do overlap, which
They
is
do.
why you want to have that comprehensive approach because, what happens medically wise, if, they get into a bad situation medically wise, they're going to go back to the financial professional because they're going to have to pull money out.
absolutely.
And so these are the areas where they overlap each other, and it's why it's important to have that kind of comprehensive approach. The other reason I think it's so important is some of the things that happen end up becoming things that you could be locked into.
Right.
You have original Medicare, then you have supplemental insurance, you have an Advantage plan. You may switch from a supplemental plan to an Advantage plan. Again, I don't know your situation, but maybe, with the new benefits of the Advantage plan, or if you called that 800 number and, they tried to put everybody all into the same plan and they put you into an Advantage plan and you gave up your supplemental plan. What some people don't realize is that after, a year goes by, if they want to go back into a supplemental plan, they would have to qualify medically
correct.
for that.
You would have to go through medical underwriting, and you could be denied if you wanted to go from an Advantage to back to a supplement. You do get that 12-month free test drive, and if it works, you'll like it. And that's what I'm finding. A lot of people are really liking the plans that they're going into. I saw another number that there's a lot of people that don't truly understand Advantage plans, and one of the things that is out on the you talk to doctors' offices. I had a client that actually came to me and said, well, I went and I talked to my cardiologist because I was asking him about Advantage. I'm turning 65. I don't know what to get. And a doctor's office, his particular doctor's office, told him, yes, we do take that plan, but, I don't know if I like the Advantage plans. And I said, well, what did they say? And I said, are they on one, the person he talked to? And he said, well, no, she's quite a bit younger, and but she doesn't like the fact that some of these companies don't pay their bills on time. I said, well, his name happened to be John. I said, well, John, that's not your problem. That's a problem between the provider and the insurance company.
Yeah, it's not what's best for your health situation.
Exactly right. So the unfortunate thing is this poor woman had no idea what she was really, talking about, but she did answer one thing correct. Yes, they do take that particular plan. I have found that, the path of least resistance is always where a lot of people tend to migrate towards. And there's a lot of nuances to the Advantage plans. And if you truly don't understand them, then it's easier to just not look that direction, right? I mean, if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to look the opposite direction because I don't want to get into something I don't know about. That's why I'm here. That's why, we've created America's Medicare Associates to help people understand. We do these educational events all the time, and we explain, we drill down line by line by line. One of the things I do is I'll show you real live claims. I've got access to a claim system where I can actually show you how an actual claim works. When I do my events, one of the things I always say is, this, I can talk until I'm blue in the face about all of the benefits, right? Means absolutely nothing until you actually have a claim. You want to make sure that the policy that you decide on is going to work for you and be there for you when you, when you turn in that first claim. So, like you said, Chris, should I change my Medicare plans? It depends. If you have a plan that maybe isn't working best for you, one of the things I run into a lot is, some of the older clients, they're paying premiums for their supplemental plans in upwards of $250 to $300 a month. If you're spending that kind of money on an Advantage or a supplemental policy, you might want to take a look and see if there's another plan out there. One of the things to keep in mind is you're paying that premium whether you're healthy or not, whether you're using the plan or not. You're paying that premium. There may be a better option out there, and you're not doing yourself any favors if you don't at least look to see if there's something better out there for you.
Well, we did an earlier segment today on the show, and in case you missed it, you can always just go over to our YouTube channel. If you just click on the link below and go over to America's Retirement Headquarters on YouTube, we did a segment earlier today talking about what do retirees fear most.
Sure, absolutely.
And the number 2 on the list was high medical bills. So again, it's an area that people are not paying attention to, but that's one of the things that, again, we can kind of help take a look at if, high medical bills are a concern for you, and why it is important to kind of go through and have that review done and look at things. While you're at our YouTube channel, if you want to learn more about the topic of Medicare, we have several different segments where we dive a little bit deeper into the difference between things like what the supplemental or the advantage plan is. And, if you have an opportunity, if you want to stay educated, which is what we're all about in teaching you, why it's important to take a couple of minutes and address these issues, make sure when you're over there at our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and that'll be a way that you can find us easier in the future as more topics come up. Now, if YouTube's not your thing, don't worry about that. Keep in mind we're on every major podcast that's out there. So whether it's the Apple or Spotify, or you want to look us up on the Google podcast, again, just type in America's Retirement Headquarters in your favorite podcast, and you can listen to any of this past shows or this show again if you'd like to, listen to it again and get informed. That's what we're here to help you with.
Available on demand whenever you're ready for that. Again, also available on the website, americasretirementheadquarters.com, how you get in touch with the team. Scott, you mentioned people like taking the path of least resistance. And, honestly, not doing anything seems like that would be the least resistant. But what happens if you don't review your plan and you roll into 2023 and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, well, your medication's not on the formulary anymore, or your doctor's not in network, or who knows what could happen down the line because you didn't review that. There's going to be a little bit of resistance there, something that you were trying to avoid. So certainly worth taking the time. Again, open enrollment period ends December 7th, so not much time left. But go ahead and get on the calendar and just cross that off as you enter into the holidays. Schedule a time to speak with the team. Go to americasretirementheadquarters.com or americasmedicare associates.com or give a call, 419-794-3030.